Hello, I'm Julie Tan. I'm with AIG Global Real Estate. I'm one of the businesses that is being sold. And I think the takeaway from this morning's session, and I think that will be picked up in a lot of these sessions throughout the next 2 days, for me, lessons learned is women need to learn to be different. I think it's about empowerment. I believe that there are many generations represented, and one of the things you talk about, the one thing for me in this period of stress and waiting to be sold in a very tough environment, is to empower people. When I talk about generational, I do believe you ladies, everyone have made incredible, great suggestions and comments, but we also need to think about the people who are coming up after us. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think empowerment is important because life is tribal, so we need to network. We may not do it well today, but I think we need to teach the younger people to do it. They need to also be confident and negotiate. I never learned all these things in my youth. Mm-hmm. I'm learning it now, especially because of the tough environment. And also, talk about connections, I would say. So my one thing right now is working with younger women and making sure they learn and that they know going into the workforce to always show value.
That's right.
Thank you,
Several
Julie.
people mentioned that already. It is tough in supportive roles to show value, but I would encourage any young woman to go out there, be the best she can be, and also to always know to show value and be smart about networking and being tribal, because then we would correct everything that is going on right now. And to the point about Oslo as an example, that is a totally different society. They have support systems that this society does not yet provide.
Right.
So you talk about work-life balance.
Yeah.
National Council of Research on Women is not just about women, it's about young girls and about young women. So I think we should keep that in mind.
Thank you.
Thank you. It is interesting. One of the things that was shared by our board member, Ann Mulcahy, is that many of us involved in women's initiatives have to be very careful that they don't get perceived as self-serving for senior women, and that we always have to consider the pipeline. So thank you for reminding us of that so eloquently. Our final comment, we have another, so final two comments. Yes.
I'm Sharon Mears. I'm the author of a book called Getting to 50/50, and before that I was managing director at Goldman Sachs. I really liked the comments on negotiation, and a question I have for the group is, one of the things I've come to in doing this research is that a double bottom line activity that seems fairly doable even in this environment is negotiation training. And it doesn't have to be specifically to women only. If you look at the work of people like Maggie Neal at Stanford Business School, or if you look at Linda Babcock's work at Carnegie Mellon, it basically says if you articulate clearly what the negotiation strategies are, and you can do it in front of men and women at the same time, you both empower women to close this gap that is cultural. You say it's okay because, hey, the guy sitting next to you are doing it, and that there's specific tools that you can train on. And so my question is, who is doing that, and what is needed so that that becomes a normal practice in management training across the Fortune 500?
It's true.
Yeah.
Thank you. One or two comments in particular from companies where your strategy is specifically focusing on that. And I can share at Citi, we've added it into our Women's Leadership Development Program because it's become one of the things that women in particular told us that they wanted more strategic support on and building capability to do it effectively. So others?
I would add, similar to the Citi example, we are being very deliberate in having incorporated that into we have a high developing women's program. And we start earlier in the pipeline and introduce communication, negotiation practices and techniques so that that becomes business as usual for our women as they start to advance. Another example is that at the higher, more senior levels, we have very targeted negotiation because it changes as your role's sphere of influence and impact changes. And so it is a very common thread in our leadership development specifically for women.
Now I saw the hook. I saw that Linda Bosch was very elegantly putting it, you need to end. So we're going to have a closing thought or comment, and then I'm going to probably just thank the panel versus having more wisdom from them. But many of them are staying for the day, so you can tap into them. And so we'll go first to the microphone.
Very briefly, my name is Abby Ruane, graduate student, University of Southern California, School of International Relations. Building on the generational comment earlier, I just wanted to point out that we focused a lot on people who have jobs. What about people, especially younger women like myself, who are at earlier stages in their career, who are trying to find jobs? From what I've heard, men tend to be evaluated on potential, whereas women tend to be evaluated on performance. How does that impact early hiring stages, and what can I do to find one?
All right, which of our panelists has a foot in the door around recruitment and thoughts around some advice? Because what I would like to offer this participant is some advice about what she can do effectively. Suba.
Well, when you think about what you've accomplished in your life to date, and that is, I think, something that sets this next generation apart, say, from mine, is that you have done so much in your life already. By the time you guys get to 2021, it's amazing as to all the different experiences that you've gained and where you've volunteered. The ability to learn to package that in a way that can be targeted and made to be attractive. So experience doesn't just mean a traditional day jobs as people in my generation define it, but rather the kind of richness of experience that you can bring to an organization and how that can have an impact on what this organization is going to do. So for that, you need a couple of things. You need to be able to be targeted about the kinds of things you want to do, know a lot about the company you would like to join, figure out perhaps ways to connect the 8 points of separation to somebody within that company and be able to reach them. Because you can send your resume through the website, and yes, it may or may not hit or miss, but they never get to see you as a person. And it actually should translate throughout your life. When you have those mentor sponsors, make sure that you actually arm them with some things about you that they will have in their back pocket, because people are really busy. But if you make it easy for them to speak on your behalf, if you make it easy for them to find the reasons to hire you, the opportunity to say yes becomes far more facile.
I'm just going to add one quick thing. If you can be flexible and volunteer or do an internship, I don't know what the age group is here, but that could turn into a real opportunity. My 19-year-old just got an internship. They offered her a full-time job, and I said, no, go back to school. But once you get in the door, that is an opportunity for you to shine, even if you're not getting paid.
Thank you, and good luck to you in your role search. So, a couple of closing comments. Know or consider your number one thing. Don't opt out. Continue to focus on the representation of women at all levels of the company, and certainly reach back and help those who follow. Consider and understand the difference and importance of mentors, sponsors, advocates. Consider chaos theory and how we can manage within a new paradigm. And always put on that oxygen mask. So help me in thanking our wonderful panel.